you've obviously been in the market for just over a year now. You launched in April 2020, but I know that you were officially lending a bit later than that. So what has your first year of lending been like in terms of origination, lending figures, and also kind of your broker distribution and reach?
Okay, so it's been a difficult year for everyone, I think, just with COVID and businesses being forced to work, people work from home, you can't have the face-to-face connection. Obviously, Zoom has gone through the roof, which has enabled people to still stay connected. But it's been hard to, as a new lender to the market, to generate business from brokers who we rely on most of the time to get deals through the door. It has been challenging because you can't meet them face to face. You have to rely on just being relatively persistent, calling them up saying, look, we can offer you something that maybe others can't, or even if they can, I think you'll just like us as people and hopefully want to do business with us. Just give us a chance. And most of the time what we found is they'll have a case that might actually sit outside of our criteria, but no one else will do it. If we can maybe move the goalposts a little bit and try and do the case and show them that, yes, we can do this, this is how we operate, your foot's then in the door, and you tend to find that they start to give you a little bit more business, and you can build from there. Our loan book at this moment in time, we actually started lending in probably November last year. We had a big delay just from some internal issues that we had. But since then, we've got about £10 million loan book. We've got, I think, 12 deals and legals at the moment that will add an additional £3 million to the loan book. So things are growing month on month. We're seeing more and more deals over the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's been really beneficial to actually get out and meet people for the first time. Myself and Lewis have been lending for nearly 3.5 years now. So Albatross is, although we've been around for a year, it's been nearly 4 years in the making to get to this stage. So we've had contacts over that time, but to be able to grow the loan book, we've really had to, I guess, generate more deals from more introducers, and meeting them over the last few weeks has been really beneficial.
I think we've built a lot of good foundations and a lot of good relationships, and we've had multiple internal reshuffles, but we're now in a position of strength, and we've got a new chairman in Kevin Cook, who has just retired from BDO as a senior audit partner, which has really helped with our fundraising because, you know, again, age hasn't been on our side. We're in quite a grown-up sport, and people often tell us that and remind us of that. And so having those grey hairs and that experience, and I guess a level head kind of sitting at the top of the business has helped the likes of Shawbrook and our other institutional lines to give us a go. So it's been good, but I think moving forward we're very excited.
You mentioned a little bit earlier about how age has acted as a little bit of a barrier for you guys, just in your kind of entry into the bridging market. Why do you think this is? Obviously, you're both young, but why do you think this has been the case in this space particularly? I assume it might be to do with the fact that you haven't lent through the cycles, which is what many experienced lenders talk about as their expertise, and potentially kind of may look at it as being naive and to be young and heading into the lender. But how do you kind of mitigate those perceptions of yourself?
I guess there's two sides to that, really. There's the perception from our competitors, and then there's a perception from brokers at the same time. So I'll start off with the kind of our competitors. People who've been in this business for many years. They may have been lenders at banks, they may have been in the industry for 30, 40 years, and then they decide to set up a lender, and most of them are very successful. And when you have two guys that are, at the time, were 25, that decide to come to the market with Albatross, the market's obviously already it's heavily populated with lenders. I think some brokers have almost 200 on their panel. So there's a lot of competition out there. And when you come into a market like that, and Lewis and I, we tried to bring, I guess, a bit of a light-hearted manner to business. We want to be fun to work with. I guess we do a few quirky little things on social media. And it does ruffle people's feathers a little bit. And they think, well, as you say, these guys haven't been through any of these life cycles, financial crisis.
Apart from launching in a pandemic.
Yeah, well, I guess that's, yeah. But yeah, people do look at us and think, well, these guys don't know what they're doing. How do they know what they're doing? But it's what we've built over 4 years, and the people around us, such as Kevin, that help us and guide us in the right direction. Our funding lines are very supportive with what we do, and I think they wouldn't provide us with the capital if they weren't confident in our abilities to do so. So from another lender's perspective, of course, 2 young guys coming into the market, people aren't going to like it. But hopefully there's enough business to go around. We're friends with a handful of lenders, and we've been taken in a really good way. A couple of weeks ago, we were out with the guys from Glenhawk, and it was actually really refreshing it was one of the first kind of face-to-face meetings we had. And it was nice to go out to the market and just see how receptive other people were, not even brokers, our competition. So I think that's been a good thing. And then if you look at it from a broker's perspective, and I can understand why brokers might be a bit skeptical about using us because we are young, how can you guarantee that we have the funding? We might just be putting stuff out there that maybe is false. As Lewis said earlier, brokers have long-standing relationships with their clients, and trust is a big factor in this business. If someone can't trust that we can deliver, then they can't risk jeopardizing their relationship just to try us out. So bringing Shawbrook on was a big thing for us from, I guess, just passing the credit of a bank. I think there's a lot of people in this market that utilize Shawbrook as a funding partner, but for us, it wasn't necessarily the amount of money they were giving us. It was more due to the credibility that it gave us to say, look, we are capable of being potentially a big player in this industry. And again, I think being 26 now, time's on our side. We don't have to rush anything. We can build the foundations and grow from there.
You know, part of what we're trying to get across with yourself today is that we are a serious player and we work very, very hard. And in Jordan and I, you know, without blowing our own trumpets, we are very good at what we do. I don't think we would be in the position that we're in now, that has been solely the 2 of us, if we weren't. So, you know, yes, it's obviously good in a sense to ruffle feathers and make noise and be noticed. We want to make sure that people know that Albatross are good at what they do. And with that, you know, we are young, and sometimes I think we can be portrayed as jumped up little somethings. And so, you know, we've made mistakes, and we've been lending for 4 years, and, you know, we've had bad debts, we've had cash flow problems, we've had accounting errors, we've had all sorts of things that any business goes through. But, you know, from our point of view, we've learned the hard way. You know, we started 4 years ago, or under 4 years ago, with 100 grand from one investor, and now we've got 80 million. And, you know, that hasn't happened by accident. You know, and again, you know, whilst people say they're naive, they don't know what they're doing, you know, they've never been through a recession, how can they possibly underwrite deals when they've only been lending for a couple of years? You know, that's exactly what we've been doing. And it's not been a case of, okay, Jordan and I have wealthy fathers, they've both given us 10 million quid and we've gone out and lent, and, you know, that's not who we are. So I think it was important for us to actually say, well, look, yes, we could be loudmouth sometimes, and yes, we're trying to break into a very congested market, but we're just a couple of young lads having a go. We've got a good team around us. We've got a heck of a lot of experience, given the short life that we've had in this business. But we're human beings and we're good people and we do good work, and come and work with us. I guess that's what we're trying to say.
You were mentioning obviously a bit about the Shawbrook funding line and how that's kind of given you a bit more credibility in the market. A bank or a challenger bank's not going to provide a funding line to any old bridging lender. They're really going to look at your team and how your lender is set up and what kind of deals that you're underwriting. But aside from kind of how it's affected how you're perceived in the market, how has this backing changed your offering to the space?
So we've, as Lewis said, we started with 100 grand in a garage, and we've built it from there, and it's taken a long time. So the deals that we've done have always been deals under 400 grand. So on the smaller side, and we built a business off the back of doing those sort of deals. Sometimes I feel that they're overlooked in this market, which I don't blame people, because everyone wants to make money. That you make the money on the bigger deals. If you've got 10 smaller deals, you have to underwrite 10 different deals rather than one transaction at £1 million. So what Shawbrook has really enabled us to do is focus on the smaller side of the market, and we're now able to lend up to 75%. The speed that Shawbrook operate is just phenomenal. I was really surprised when we first did a deal with them, how I guess they take such a good approach to lending money through a lender like us. And it makes it really easy to make us quick, easy to deal with. And it's just widened our offering. Before we couldn't lend up to 75% loan to value. And I think this market, that's where you need to be, especially for when someone's buying under market value, they're adding value to a property. You need to be able to provide them with the cash to be able to do that. So from that perspective, I think Shawbrook's really made us more favourable to brokers that maybe have clients that want a lender that can really take them under their wings, I guess, and look after them. A lot of the bigger lenders do that for the bigger clients. Do they do it for the smaller ones? I think we might have found a little space in the market where we can cater for that. So yeah, Shawbrook helps us with that massively.
Yeah, that's the launch of Mini Wings, which does sound a little bit like something you'd see on Deliveroo. But again, it's made noise, and people. We've made calls over the last couple of weeks. Oh, hi, it's Lewis, it's Jordan. Mini Wings, how you doing? So that's a good thing, and we've just tried to bring basically, a really competitive approach to the lower end of the market where not so many people want to operate. Because it's that lower end of the market's generally populated by different types of lenders that are more, privately funded or just different criterias, and generally a little bit more expensive, not necessarily so leveraged. So, we're at 75%. We don't have a minimum arrangement fee on deals, which really helps because I know some do. And we're out at, we can lend from 0.74% a month, which down at those levels is pretty attractive.
A lot of brokers, they ask what your niche is and where you really fit and where you're different. From our side, it's really hard to find a niche in a market where over the last 10 years, everything's been done. For example, I can't remember the lender who did it, but someone came out and was like, right, we don't take PGs anymore, or they don't charge an arrangement fee. People have grown loan books off of doing small things like that have just driven traffic to them to generate deal flow. So it's hard to turn around and do that. There's lenders that pay 2% of the arrangement fee. That's pretty standard on a lot of deals. So it's hard for us to differentiate from that perspective. So what we want to do is we want to be seen as specialists in the smaller side of the market. So as Lewis said, when someone has a deal for under 450k, first people they think of is Albatross, because they know that they're going to get the service, the speed, and industry-leading rates for a smaller transaction. Once you get known for something, that's really when you can grow and take on the larger transactions. As I previously said, everyone wants the bigger transactions because that's where you make more money with less work that goes into it. You're just underwriting one deal at the end of the day. You're not underwriting 10. So I think that's where we want to start. And as I said, we're in no rush. So this is going to take time. But yeah, we're here for the long run, I think.
Definitely, and with that as well, with having smaller loans, you also don't put all your eggs in one basket, which I think is a good strategy to begin with as a lender anyway.
Yeah.
Out of interest, just because that is kind of becoming your sweet spot, the smaller end of the market in terms of deal size transaction. Are you noticing any trends in terms of kind of regions in the UK that you're getting more inquiries from, or loan purpose types?
Do you know what? It's funny you say that, because Lewis and I, we met when we were at school down in Somerset, and we haven't really seen too much business down in the southwest of England over the last kind of 3 or 4 years. And over the last 6 months, we're seeing a lot of business down that sort of way. I don't know, I'm sure it's people that are seeing opportunities to have a home somewhere with more land or somewhere they can develop. But I think we've got 2 deals on at the moment down in Somerset, where I know we like to go see every property. Lewis has been able to go spend a bit of time with his mum and go visit properties at the same time. So I think seeing people move outside of cities, or even people that live in home counties that want to move further afield to maybe develop a property and build their dream home, or mainly holiday homes, holiday lets, I guess. So yeah, that's a trend that we're seeing at the moment quite a lot.
Equally, I think with mini wings, a lot of it is generally more up north as well, naturally, because and most of what we're seeing at the moment is auction purchases. I think people are rushing, with stamp duty holidays, and the property market is just, transaction levels are just through the roof, and it's been difficult actually to get deals over the line, and I'm sure every lender must be struggling with this at the moment, in that, yes, we can do everything from our side, but then you're waiting for, we're waiting for so many sellers to provide documents. We're waiting for borrowers' solicitors who are just inundated with transactions and work at the moment, whilst everyone's cramming in to meet deadlines and, purchase within the stamp duty holiday and things. So, there has been delays from that side. I know that, we did a deal in October last year in 41 hours. And, that was basically just 2 lawyers working overnight to make something happen. So it can be done, but sometimes, we're waiting. Our solicitor sent a request for an undertaking to a borrower's solicitor, 3 weeks ago, and it took them 2.5 weeks to reply. So it's been frustrating. But yeah, sort of, I don't know how I got onto that, but moving back to your question, a lot of it's been up north. Oh yeah, so it's mainly been auction purchases, which obviously have a quick turnaround in themselves, generally 28 days to complete. So we're getting a lot of those, and we're able to turn those around quickly. And as long as everyone's doing their bit, they can get done. But yeah, with auction purchases, with mini wings, they're smaller deals. Average deal size generally 100k. They're buying something at auction for 160 to 200 grand. We're facilitating the purchase. Generally, we're at 75% of purchase price. Normally, they're putting in a little bit of work and flipping it onto a buy-to-let once it's suitable for a mortgage, or selling it for a premium. So, and they're mainly Manchester. Got a couple in Stoke, Birmingham. Just put one into legals in Newcastle. So yeah, they're around. And generally, we like to go and see every deal that we do in the flesh and meet the borrower and just make sure it's there. And whilst you can look at a spreadsheet with your LTV and your exit and your borrower profile, but this is a really old-fashioned business, and sometimes the best underwriting you can do is just to go and look a borrower in the eye and say, are you going to pay me back? But obviously that's not possible all the time, again, because there's two of us that kind of run this day to day, and these are the kind of growing pains that we're seeing. So sometimes we might get a local agent to just go and have a look and confirm it's there or whatever. But yeah, no, we're up and down the country, and Mini Wings is very rarely in London because it's not big enough.
And you mentioned earlier about your ambitions for this year, for 2021, in terms of lending, that you're looking at providing £80 million this year to borrowers. How will you be looking to reach this goal, and will you be launching any other products like the Mini Wings offering that you've got out now?
Like Mighty Wings, maybe.
I guess, look, we're not going to get to that 80 million figure by just catering within the Mini Wings product. We can obviously lend up to £2.5 million, and we can do deals that are larger, and we still give the same service to every single client broker that we obtain. So I think, yes, Mini Wings is really good from a marketing perspective, and it is where I think we have grown our business and we're specialists in that sector. But we're going to hit our targets by doing bigger deals. We're doing a lot of networking at the moment with new brokers that we haven't ever met, which is really worthwhile.